Hey everyone, my name is Sean and welcome to another meta-analysis video for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Today I'm going to be telling you what are the best board breaker cards to play for Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel Season 4. The results of this analysis are based on me evaluating over 50 different tournaments with all their deck lists to see what are the most popular cards to play and which ones have been the most impactful overall. If you want to know what the best decks to play, the best hand traps to play, or the best tech cards to play for the format, feel free to go and check out my channel where I have videos for those uploaded already. And I will be referring to the results of those videos as well in this one. Now, before I begin with the analysis and show you what the results are, I want to preface this by saying that this video was made before the release of the two new sets, Beyond Speed and Ruler's Mask. I'm not expecting these two new sets to do a lot to the meta, but if they are popular, they definitely could warp the meta slightly, so my results may differ from your own experiences. That being said, these decks didn't really do crazy amounts of change to the format in the TCG or the OCG, so I'm not expecting too much, but I think my results are still valid overall. So, board breakers. What are board breakers? They're the cards that help you break your opponent's board. Some people don't want to play hand traps. Some people don't want to play floodgates. They just want to get rid of a threat and take it off the board. And so these were the best cards in Season 3 for doing so, and the best cards for you to craft in Season 4. We're going to start at the bottom of the list, and we have some really unique fusions at the bottom. Predaplant Fusion, Dragon Necro, Ignista Golem, and further up we have things like Starving Venom, My Dragon of the Swamp, and there was another one I'm missing out somewhere, but it doesn't matter either way. And these are all on the list because they are all being used with a very popular card right now, Super Polymerization. Super Polymerization is a quick play fusion spell card that cannot be responded to by your opponent's effects. In addition, it can fuse away monsters on either side of the field, so you can get rid of those really problematic cards on your opponent's side of the field in order to break their board, and they can't even stop you from doing so. Super Poly is being most popularly used with Mud Dragon of the Swamp, where it takes any monsters of the same attribute but with different types and fuses them away. Against Drytron, this is really nice, where their Drytron monsters are like machine monsters, but then things such as Herald of Ultimateness or Herald of Perfection are like fairy monsters, and so you can fuse those away. It even works well against things like Tri-Brigade Zodiac and Tri-Brigade Lyrilisk, where you can fuse away their different type wind-based monsters and get them off the field. What's really cool is how it's being used with other cards like Dragon Necro Zombie, which can be used against Eldritch to fuse away two really big Eldritch monsters, which can be really helpful to get past those very high attack level 10s. But then there's other ones as well, like the Predaplant Fusion, Ignista Golem, and Starving Venom. Now, Super Polymerization is mostly being used in fusion-based decks, so you're seeing it in, say, Invoke and Invoke variants such as Invoke Shadow or Invoke Mech Knight or other fusion-based decks. But it still might be used outside of them as well. It can be used pretty much in any deck, especially if you have a deck that likes putting cards from the hand into the graveyard, such as Phantom Knights maybe, then Super Polymerization can be really good for you to use, and so it is really done well to make this list here. Something that's made the list and therefore is really good, but I'm surprised it's not used more often, are Kaijus and Lava Golem. This is really bizarre to me. Kaijus and Lava Golem have the ability to tribute your opponent's monsters off their board, and often in the TCG and the OCG, they're used for going second, or they're used in the side deck for when you're going to bring them in against your opponent, when you know they're going to try and put a monster on the board that you can't remove with other card effects and say are unaffected by their opponent's card effects. And those cards can be really problematic, and in some situations, as soon as your opponent summons one of those, the game is over. You can't get past that monster. And I'm really surprised Kaijus and Lava Golem aren't really more popular than they are, because you haven't got the chance to go into a side deck, and therefore you don't want to run into a situation where you say your opponent summons a Mathmet Geostigma. And Kaijus and Golem are also really live in many matchups, say against Herald of Ultimateness, against even an Eldritch monster you could use it against an Appaloosa or an Apex Avian. They're really, really good cards, but they just aren't that popular right now. My speculation to this is that a lot of people are how do I say, they're net decking off of what was popular in the TCG and the OCG, and therefore they're copying those deck lists and bringing them into Master Duel. But maybe you'll see them being used, or the format will change once people get a bit more comfortable. I know in Yu-Gi-Oh! Legacy of the Duelist, Link Evolution, Kaijus and Lava Golem were around everywhere because you just can't afford to lose the die roll to some kind of crazy monster. So yeah, I expected it to be higher, but hey, it is what it is. For spell and trap removal, well, Harpy Feather Duster is there up there at number 3. Definitely played almost everywhere, the third most popular board breaker card in the game, as it's so easy to use. But then there's also copies of Twin Twister and Cosmic Cyclone in the meta. I really like the scene of these. I think there's a lot of decks right now that are vulnerable to back row cards, and one of the reasons why Eldritch is doing so well is because no one's really playing these cards. And I think that will start to change as time goes along, as Eldritch is only growing stronger and stronger but day by day, because their ability just to absolutely win a game through flipping over the right continuous trap card. I really like these as complements to Twin Twister and Cosmic Cyclone. As complements to Harpy Feather Duster, where you can have one Harpy Feather Duster and multiple Twin Twisters, so you can guarantee anything your opponent puts up in the back row, you're going to get rid of it. Or Cosmic Cyclone in some situations is better because it banishes the card and doesn't destroy it, which is really good against the Eldritch matchup. Good to see these cards are being played in the format a bit more. There's also Raigeki. Raigeki's doing well. Raigeki's pretty solid. It's a good way just to bait out and negate, and it's a very reliable card overall. It's not game breaking and it's not really crazy for the format, but your opponent, if they don't respond to it, they're gonna lose their monsters, so they have to negate it. So Raigeki is really popular right now, and because a lot of people get one of these cards for free, then yeah, Raigeki is not surprising to me that it's in the format. Torrential Tribute is doing really well. This is being used often as a board breaker. It's a very cheap card to use. It's a very cheap card to craft. I think it's just a rare. And TT is just very good at stopping your opponent from building up those crazy boards, especially when you're going first or second. You could just set it to the field, and as soon as they summon, flip it over, and if they don't negate it, it's going to wipe the board. So TT is pretty good overall. And then you've got Pancreatops as well. Pancreatops, I think Pancreatops isn't doing too hot as it normally would be because it's only at 1 in the format right now, and so people aren't really relying on this card. But when this card was at 3, man, was this card in every single side deck. It's a very reliable card and easy to use. It's got 2600 attack, it's a free special summon, and it has a quick effect to destroy one card on the field. So it's not being seen too much, but it is here and there in the format. 2 cards that are very popular in the extra deck for removal are Nightmare Phoenix and Nightmare Unicorn, the ever staple link monsters for removing cards. Unicorn, of course, discards a card to shuffle a card on the field, and Phoenix is a link 2 that destroys a spell or trap card on the field. They're just so easy and reliable to run, and so a lot of people are playing them right now in their extra deck. Another card that people are really playing as well as a board breaker is Evenly Matched. Evenly Matched is entering the format as it works pretty much against every single deck. As long as you go second and as long as you draw into it early enough. You go into battle phase, you go end of battle phase, flip it down, plop it down on the field, and then you get to the chance to banish up to as many cards on the field as possible, equal to until your opponent only has 1 card left. And this can be very good if your opponent doesn't negate it. It's a very powerful card, but not the easiest one to run, and it's also kind of like Nibiru in the way where after turn 1 or later into the duel it loses its effectiveness as it goes along. So I'm not surprised that it's only where it is, but it's still a very powerful board breaking card nonetheless. Then we come to the Creme De La Creme, the top of the list, and again we have Lightning Storm being everywhere right now. Lightning Storm is very popular in Go Second decks. It's just very reliable. In a best of 1 format, you don't know what you're going to play against. You don't know whether they're going to have a back row heavy deck or a front row heavy deck, and so Lightning Storm gives you the option to do both. What I'm seeing a lot of people do is they're playing 1 Harpy Feather Duster with 2 to 3 Lightning Storm, and that's all they're using for their board removal. I think it's well and good that a lot of people would normally rely on cards in their extra deck like Unicorn and Phoenix for their removal, but sometimes you're playing against a deck that won't let you get to your extra deck at all, and so you've got to get those cards on the field, and so these cards here are very reliable for doing so. What's nice about these cards is when they're used in decks that can use them after turn 1 as well, where they are decks that can have cards face down on the field and don't need to have face up cards on the field, so they can use Lightning Storm later in the duel, which makes it a little bit more reliable. But more often than not, it's used when it's going second and you have no cards on the field at all, so you can activate it. So Lightning Storm's really good, and then Harpy Feather Duster, it's just easy to run. It just, even at 1 copy, just put it in the deck, and if you draw it, it's good. It's never really dead against, unless you're in certain matchups where they don't play back row cards at all. But you always wish you had it. The second most popular card on the list is easily Access Code Talker. This is the counterpart to AA Zeus, really, where in almost every single list I saw Access Code Talker, I saw a Zeus as well. Whereas Access Code Talker is used to break boards and remove cards on the field and then get absurdly high attack. AA Zeus is often used to prevent boards being built up by interacting and uses quick effect during the opponent's turn. Both of them are really good right now. You only really see one of them used in both decks, which is really interesting for me in terms of, say, how many people are playing Zeus and how many people are playing Access Code Talker, as Access Code Talker is so popular that even at 1, it's still number 2, the most popular card in the game right now. So Access Code Talker definitely up there, definitely a very, very powerful card. And then it brings us on to the best card and the best ball breaker card in the game right now, and that is Forbidden Droplets. Forbidden Droplets is very, very good right now because it's a lot like Super Polymerization, but a little bit more easier to run, where it can negate the effect of multiple monsters on the field, and your opponent has the, if it's used in the right way, your opponent is not able to respond to your activation of this card. Forbidden Droplets is also a lot more flexible than Super Poly because you don't have to discard a card from your hand. You could, say, play a spell on your field and then chain to the activation of the spell on your field and send that card you've already activated that was going to go to the graveyard anyway as one of your resources to get multiple negates out of Forbidden Droplets. It's very, very reliable right now. And in a few days time, I'm going to be doing a tier list of the best cards in the game right now, and so you can see a good idea of what people are running in terms of the ratios. Also in the future, I'm also going to be uploading the deck list that I found to show you what are the best versions of different archetypes that are being played right now, and you're going to be able to see the ratios. And Forbidden Droplets is often being played at 2 to 3 copies in almost every single deck. It really is quite up there as one of the most reliable cards in the format right now. And even decks that you wouldn't use droplets against normally, like Lich, is still pretty good because you can half the attack of a monster and get over those 3500 attack beaters, which is really nice. And then Lich uses monsters in the extra deck as well, which you might want to get rid of as well. So droplets is very, very reliable right now. And so these are the best board breakers cards in the game. I am absolutely playing Droplets and Access Code and Harpy Feather Duster almost all my decks. They're very, very reliable. And yeah, what do you guys use? Are you using board breakers or are you using hand traps? Which ones do you prefer? Do you have any cards that didn't make the list and you want to tell me what they are down below? I'm always interested in you looking at unique tech, and it'll be interesting to see how the format shapes up throughout Season 4 and into Season 5, and whether we start to see these cards become even more popular or the meta starts to shift direction to other cards. It'll be very interesting to see nonetheless. Thank you guys as always for watching my analysis videos. This is the last one of them, and so the next video I'll be doing will be a tier list I might do a deck tier list. I think it's pretty much says self-explanatory, but I'm going to maybe do a tier list of the cards in the game so people get a rough idea of what cards to put into their decks, but we'll see nonetheless. And then I'll be uploading those deck lists as well. Thank you guys as always for watching. I'll see you soon. Take care.